Hey, random noise. We're live.
Oh my God.
Behind the scenes, we were talking about making random noise so we knew if we'd be live or not. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Games Tavern Happy Hour, where a bunch of us nerds get together and talk tabletop game news, reviews, and interviews with those in the tabletop space. Glad to have you join us tonight. I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Jeff. Jeff, say hello.
Greetings. I don't say your hello. I don't follow your needs.
Okay, so Jeff is playing some weird alien version of Jeff today. That's okay, because if Jeff doesn't act right, we're going to show some wonderful Photoshop pictures of Jeff that popped up on the Discord server earlier. No. They were brilliant. They were brilliant. The one of you as Renyon was fantastic. So today we have a fantastic interview with Lee Goldberg, a fantastic artist and a TTRPG player with a lot of passion as well. And he's found a way to combine both his art history, his culinary artistry, I might add, and his passion for TTRPGs. And he's a great streamer as well. So he'll be on right after the news and new releases information that's coming out. If this is your first time watching the Games Tavern's Happy Hour, please follow us. It's free. It supports the show. And if you have Amazon Prime, you also get a free Prime gaming subscription, which you can use to help support the show. Remember, subs get access to special sub-only emotes and a supporter channel on the Discord channel. On the Discord server. And remember, you can watch all of this live on YouTube 48 hours later, so you can catch up on all the interviews and reviews you may have missed. So, Jeff, you want to talk about our music mention?
Oh, yeah. I've got it here. Of course, as always, I mean, we think about them during our regular shows, but big thanks to tabletopaudio.com. They provide our music, ambiance, and soundtracks for not only this show, The Velk and Weave, but all the rest of the shows that are here on the Games Tavern live play. We use tabletop audio in our own campaigns you can use tabletop audio in your own campaigns by going to tabletopaudio.com and choosing from over 240 music and ambiance tracks. Often there's alternative versions available for Patreon patrons. If you need something custom, check out their sound pad and options to create your own custom sound pad. And we think so highly of tabletopaudio.com. We are supporters. We think that you should be as well.
That is awesome, and we love them very much. So, Jeff, how's your week so far?
It's going. I started a new position on Monday at work, so I've been getting
settling in.
Yeah.
Settling in. Okay, great. So, what'd you do with the body of the guy who you replaced?
Don't worry about that.
All right, cool. So that's how we work here. You got to build your own promotion somehow. I'm still running around and my back is killing me from earlier today. I don't know what happened, but I look forward to getting back and finding some zen here shortly. So sweet ibuprofen, work your dirty devil magic on my back.
Vitamin M.
Vitamin M, my friend, from Motrin. So with that, let's just roll right into the news, shall we?
Yes, we shall. What do you got for us today?
No, hold on. There we go. Well, let's start with some news that kind of a little bit of an op-ed, if we will. Cards as commodities. So wants to preserve the rich and the eccentric. All kinds of unusual investments, from vintage cars and shares in regal fine art and gold to now rare Pokemon cards are now the happy hunting ground for stuck-at-home buyers. Such amateur investors are trying to get a lot of money from wherever they can get it, and far outpacing in conventional markets. They're finding some opportunities to do that. However, there's some dangers where rocketing prices are prompting warnings of bubbles. This buying frenzy has in turn driven prices on some alternative assets up several 100% higher in the past year. Pokemon cards in particular, for example, have exploded in perceived value over the past year based on nothing more than a buying frenzy for much sought after Pokemon cards, causing them to surge into value prices in some cases of up to 6 figures. My suggestion is whatever you do, don't fall for the hype on this artificial bubble. If anything, if it's worth that much money, sell it, make a fortune, as bored buyers with cash may be there. But the real trick is always going to be the same as it was before the comic book bubble burst, almost bankrupting Marvel and DC Comics. There was never a buyer for these perceived prices. It was only very rarely you'd get anything. And if you went to a comic book shop to try to sell your comic books, they would pay you half the value that it was reported in the book, the big book that told you what everything was worth. They would never pay you the full price. Good luck finding someone who would ever pay the full price. That's just the way it was. Same thing is probably true with Pokemon, except in those very rare cases where you have a documented, authentic card that you can put on an auction block and find a buyer that's willing to pay the fortune as mentioned. You're probably not going to get that much money for your Pokemon cards. That doesn't mean that there aren't some cards that have a real perceived value, both to players for what they do in game and for the art that's on the card. But good luck. Good luck. That's all I'm going to warn you of there. So whatever you do, don't spend your retirement income hoping that you're going to get rich quick on this stuff. Just don't do it. But now let's move on to the next part of what's causing some of this bubble. Scalpers and how they're impacting pricing. Here's the thing I don't like about scalpers and cards. Kids who play Pokemon just for the joy of the game can't get card sets because of them. They don't get a fair shot at the cards. Scalpers aren't in many cases even buying the stuff, as you can see in the pictures on the screen of Happy Meals that were raided, Cinnamon Toast Crunch boxes that were opened, entire cases of the Pokemon Happy Meal boxes being stolen or bought from behind the scenes from the McDonald's crew right there. It's just ridiculous. Kids are not even getting them that could get them in a Happy Meal, for goodness sakes. What's wrong with this world? So my suggestion to help stop some of this ridiculous price gouging, don't buy a Pokemon card from a scalper, ever. It will literally never end if people keep supporting these douchebags. If you're paying scalper prices, not only are you a part of the problem, but you're also stomping on the fun of children and the occasional adult who acts like a child that loves Pokemon. Not that I know anyone, them. Anyway, instead, get your kids or yourself a gift card for a small business local game store and pre-order next time. Just knock it out. If you pre-order it from the game store, you're going to get it. You'll be taken care of. You'll get your stuff. But don't, whatever you do, wait. Just pre-order it. Make sure it's there for you. Keep the problems away. That's my editorial op-ed on Pokemon cards. Jeff, as always, you know cards pretty well too. What's your take on this?
So, and I've actually got a couple, I wouldn't say counterpoints, but kind of questions. So you say stay away from the scalpers, but is not people that get a chase rare and then sell that chase rare for an inflated price not what you're talking about?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
You can't pre-order a chase rare.
No, you pre-order your boxes, your crates. But someone who goes behind McDonald's, to the back door of McDonald's and buys 10 cases of the Pokemon Happy Meal super cool cards and prevents everybody else from getting them, that's a scalper. People who buy 50 cases of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal to keep the grocery stores from getting them so they can get that Pokemon card and then they throw the cereal away, that's a scalper. Someone who literally buys out an entire Walmart or Target case by case by case, not single cases, everything they've got in one go, that's a scalper.
Well, I mean, it's the same problem that we see not just in the card games that we're seeing now, but you see that in video cards, in consoles. Basically,
yeah, we are seeing that now.
Setting bots up that insta-click and buy everything literally within the first second that something goes on sale online. I mean, some companies are trying to combat it by making it that, an IP can only purchase one, within a certain period of time, or so on and so forth, but it's few and far between, and I don't even know if it's really effective because but I and then if you go back further, the longer issue is been concert tickets have the same problem where you'd see Ticketmaster or something sell tickets and then they'd all be bought up within seconds and then appear moments later on a third party ticket site um by from somebody selling them. So I mean this is unfortunately going to continue to happen, and I don't know if there is. I mean, yes, you could tell people not to buy it, but there's still going to be people that want something at a lower like want access to it at a lower price. um and
Yeah, but the problem is the lower price is the sale price, and the scalpers are driving up the price artificially. It's not the actual price of the goods. Someone literally walked into a Target and bought every case of their new Pokemon before it actually went out on the floor. They somehow walked in, talked to the manager, said, "I want to buy everything you've got right now. I'll pay cash," or whatever they needed to say, and they literally walked around out of the store with everything they had. How does someone do that? How does Target I mean, I'm sure Target's excited to just unload and
yeah,
put a
yeah,
big dent in
it's
their
like
bottom line,
it's like they're not going to care. The box store don't
but
care.
the thing is the game companies have a right to say, "Hey, you got to limit how many people do this," because it actually degrades their value if people get so fed up that they can't get basic things at a reasonable price point. Then the
Now,
cost barrier to entry and competition in the game is going to be wrecked.
well, so it comes back around to box store versus local game store. In a local game store, very much you will see signs like up to three may be purchased at a time. But the box store is so indifferent. Remember, these are the same stores that if you steal from them, they really don't care because it's not a big chunk in their bottom line.
By the
So
way, we're advising people not to steal. That's a bad idea. Don't do that.
right,
Yeah.
please do not steal. Um, anyways, I think we've said enough on that. I did want to go back a second to talk about the people going after Pokemon cards just in general, and I think that it's been like for collecting. And if you are not a connoisseur of Reddit or a watcher of the memes and haven't seen some of the videos of people doing antics while they're unloading or opening up their Pokemon packs, it is quite hilarious. I remember one where a dude, he's streaming it while he's doing this, and they paid him to cut one of his packs or to bend one of his packs in half. And then, of course, he opens it, and inside of it was one of those retail cards that was going for over $100,000, but it was bent in half now, and it made me laugh very much.
Oh my gosh. Talk about bad luck. Talk about horrible bad luck. Well, that's all we're going to talk about on that. I think it would be great if manufacturers could end all scalping, but I don't know that they're going to do that. But we'll see what happens. Next up, what do we got
Yeah,
here?
Paizo, some
Yeah.
Pathfinder, their roll up or their roundup, I suppose, of Pathfinder and Starfinder activity. Quite a bit of stuff coming out from compared to some of the other gaming companies that are maybe putting out big like singular big things. Pathfinder or Paizo is rolling out a continuous litany of stuff at least. We saw Lost Omens, which is their new like setting for the world of Galarian. It received the Ancestor Guide, which is very interesting at the timing of that because it comes out at about the same time as D&D's new ancestry rules and stuff. But this one was another supplement for Galarian, opened up more options for uncommon and rare ancestries in the Inner Sea, as well as expanded rules options for ancestries and versatile heritages. There's a new version of the Pathfinder Advanced Player's Guide. Their 272-page book shrunk down to an 8 by 6.5 inch soft book cover to make your gaming night travels a little lighter. New adventure paths for Starfinder, Pathfinder, a White Glove Affair, which was part 4 of the Starfinder Fly Free or Die series for 7th level characters, and Hands of the Devil, part 2 of the Pathfinder Abomination Vaults series for 5th level characters. And then finally, check out the link. There's a bunch of other little things like new character decks, pawns, a Pathfinder flip map for the red light district, which looked actually pretty cool because it went into every single little building. I like those maps. The
Mm-hmm.
Starfinder flip tiles for alien planets, and as well to round it all up, a new 1 hour one shot adventure, Pathfinder Bounty Number 7 Cleanup Duty.
Oh, that sounds pretty nasty when you got to do cleanup duty.
So yeah, bunch of nice little things from Pathfinder. The Ancestry Guide. What are your thoughts at somehow Paizo and or Pathfinder and D&D both get an Ancestry book at about the same time?
When you say ancestry book, what do you mean? Just to
Well,
make sure we're on the same page.
backgrounds, history, like the Damphir and the changes that came in Tasha's and all that stuff for heritages and stuff in D&D.
I would say that's probably coincidence. I don't know that these two groups are staring at each other's potential product outlays and gathering intel on what's being released next in each company and trying to outdo each other there. I mean, I'm sure each company wants to outdo each other without having that time. But
I wouldn't have said
yeah,
they were staring at each other. I would
yeah.
think that perhaps they were staring at some event that they saw that made them both think of the same thing at the same time. Um,
Well, they've both done probably a lot of the same research to determine, what releases well at what periods of time, and at this time, come March, come April, come May, they found out that if they release in this month at this time, this is the best kind of thing to release. That's what's going to be most widely received. I'm not saying that that's coincidence, other than it's coincidence. I don't see anything else other than that.
okay.
I just don't see it. Next up, we've got something really exciting. Finn Greenwell, Leprechaun, sculpted by Christine Van Patten and painted by Rhonda Bender on this picture here. Another Bones USA model for March 2021. So if you order from Reaper Miniature for each qualifying order of $40 or more on www.reapermini.com, you can get this miniature for free. For those that don't know, the Reaper Bones miniatures line is the new USA made line, or excuse me, not Reaper Bones. Reaper Bones USA is the new Reaper Bones USA made miniatures. So it's all made in the USA. It's a very dense resin, or not resin, injected molded plastic, and it's very, very solid. And obviously, you can see how lush it is with detail on this particular model. So,
And specifically, this is the March model.
This is the March model. Yeah, we talked about the February model, I think, at the beginning of February. I think every beginning of the month, we know we're pretty much going to talk about a Reaper Bones USA model at this point, and then we'll see what comes up during the rest of the month as well. But pretty exciting to see that. What do we got next on Infinity, my friend?
As we were just talking about, those monthly hit-ups from Reaper, we've also got our monthly hit-ups from Infinity, from Corvus Belli. So the past month for Infinity saw several new models being released. They mostly focused on their Code 1 streamlined set of the Infinity rules, with 2 new Code 1 booster packs. So that's 6 of those 9 models are all are from those 2 booster packs. And then 3 individual models, which are more for the standard Infinity set. In addition, something that I at least don't often see outside of terrain heavy games like Infinity, so I'm not surprised, but an expansion pack of terrain specifically aimed to go with one of their introductory box sets.
Oh, that'll be good. That'll be good for new user adoption, and a great way to introduce your friends to this game, because it's really a fun game.
And if you've never seen Infinity's terrain, the buildings that they have, they're really nice. Um, Cardboard buildings that fold, that hook in and interlock together. They make really sturdy. They're really they come paint. They're printed in color, so that they're very nice to look at. Straight out of the box, quick assembly. In general, I've really enjoyed whenever I see one of those tables set up.
I can tell you that I've played with some of their terrain in the past that was pre set up, and I've never had a complaint.
Yep.
Not once. Not once. And we've got a whole bunch of pictures I can put up in the Discord sometime to discuss it. So next up, Empire of Dust Fleet. The Empire of Dust makes the fourth fleet to join the battle in Mantic's new fleet combat game Armada, with oared galleys and battle lines, bringing these undead closer for their short-range weaponry and sorcery. So this is the group you want to keep your distance from and lob rounds at from afar if you can. But I have a feeling they make it hard for you to do that. The link that we're about to drop in chat is for the first. It's just for this box. It's for the complete box, but you can also purchase these individually if desired. So just check within the Mantic store or at your local game store. These should be in the local game store around 22 March. I think it's about 22 March. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be shipping at least.
Yeah. Okay. Shipping around 22 March. So you should see these late March, early April. And you can see how much they're just covered in detail. And these are tiny ships for your tabletop. So impressive.
Yeah, Mantic's really pushing out. Like we talked about the Armada like base set in January, I think, and this is already their fourth fleet. I guess we kind of missed one of the fleets. I scold myself for being a terrible researcher, but so definitely interesting. Nice to see. It might actually need to go and look up some gameplay because I definitely have not, but I'm starting to get a little bit of interest.
Yeah, and I look how the top one there has a catapult with flaming stuff on what looks to be like a rotating Diaz there. So it's literally at the front, and it can launch in any direction, and it's held on this platform that turns and rotates as needed. And then the other two ships have some obvious like spell-like effect that projects from the front of it. That can't be good. I wouldn't want to be in front of one of these things.
Reminds me of the Empire, the 40K Nova cannons.
Yeah. Or for a Battlefleet Gothic.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember those. All right, and coming up next, why don't you take this one?
Yeah. So again, another beginning of the month update. This is March, or Malifaux's March releases. To help with your purchase planning, we're going to show you these, as we said before, at the start of each month. So for the Malifaux release, we have a master box, 2 henchman boxes with minions, and then 3 solely minion boxes for this month's offerings. The newest master to join the Malifaux, he's already got rules, but this is his model finally, is English Ivan. He is part of the Explorers Society, the new faction, and he is the main piece. Explorer Society is really starting to get built out with models, at least, because, like we said, they are new, and nearly half of all of the remaining 2021 releases are all focused on them. So you're going to see more and more for the Explorer Society hit the shelves, but also in this month, we're going to see some more Neverborn and Ten Thunders to round out the pack. Could have sworn in the old edition, right? User Spine Rattlers were part of the Arcanists, not Neverborn. So that's an interesting change.
I just want to see the Gatling gun carrying samurai.
Yeah, I saw those guys and I was like,
to paint them.
That's different. I don't remember them with Gatling guns, but I didn't play a lot of Ten Thunders, so
that's like something out of Sucker Punch. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, right?
Yeah. And then on the next slide, we've got another thing from Malifaux. We talked last week about their Bayou Bash game, and this week they brought up an article that showed four of the models that are for the 4 characters that are in the game Bayou Bash. Both their wooden figures as well as their plastic miniatures that they are actually going to create, and this will be separate. So you're going to get the little wooden tokens there, plastic tokens. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be made out of. Those will come with the Bayou Bash board game, but these miniatures will be purchasable through a starter set. And this includes, yes, Ruffles, Bo Peep, Fluffernutter, and Stumpy. As always with Weird, their models are outlandishly awesome. Um, and the starter box that these 4 models will come in will have their own fate deck and a measuring widget. We talked about that before, I think 2 weeks ago, about these starter boxers having this. So this might be the Gremlins one, though, which is going to be interesting. And it's currently scheduled for a July 2021 release, a month after the Bayou Bash board game releases in June.
I just want every one of these models.
No,
But I
right?
promise you, it's not for what you think. It's for all the wrong reasons, I can assure you.
I like the treant. I definitely
Yeah.
like the treant. Um,
Stumpy? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's just a gorgeous model.
they're all amazing. Like I like the chicken, the giant chicken. Like it just looks amazing, right?
Yeah. It's
Um,
just crazy sick. The rooster actually kind of does it for me the most, I think. But right behind that is the guy who's riding on what must obviously be a rabid rabbit. So now I've got to figure out how to make froth come out of a rabbit's mouth, I guess.
there might be a little spittle coming out of there already. Who knows?
Yeah, it does. It does look like he's having a rough day. All right, next up, D&D and Magic the Gathering 2021. If you were on our Discord, you kind of got an early taste of this as we discussed it a little bit there. But WizKids announced last week some great news. They're going to be expanding their product lines for both D&D and Magic the Gathering with new products slated to hit shelves this year. They will include D&D sprue miniatures, premium, unpainted, high-impact polystyrene, unassembled, unprimed miniatures on sprue. Are they trying to make stuff that's actually like paintable and effective?
I think
Oh my
so.
goodness gracious. This is exciting news. As a miniatures painter, that will make a big, huge impact. I'm excited. D&D action figures, because they're not miniatures, they're action figures. They're not dolls. And you know how much I love to play with my dolls. A new D&D paint line. I don't know how I feel about that yet. That'll be interesting. Time will tell on paint, because painters are very, very finicky when it comes to paint. And Dungeons and Dragons trying to come up with a paint line. We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to hear some more on that. I really am. I
They
hope that they can hit it out of the park.
they did
With
talk
some,
about it a little bit.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
going to be a branded high quality paint and paint supplies to companion with their Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures line.
Okay. D&D accessories for battle maps, bags, and carrying cases. D&D and Magic the Gathering artifact and prop replicas. Yeah, I would probably wind up getting screwed there for D&D, MTG and D&D prop replicas. I'd be
Did you get your hand and eye of Vecna already?
no,
That came out in
no.
January.
I did not want to get my house rated for having dead body parts in it. That was my biggest concern. I really
It,
was concerned about that.
it comes in a nice little
Yeah.
like glass vase thing, like that thing from Beauty and the Beast that the rose is in.
Yeah, that still doesn't make it not look like a real hand and an eyeball. That's creepy as can be, dude. Like I've got enough creepy stuff in my house. I don't need any more. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe someday someone will get me that as a creepy Halloween present, just to scare the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, Halloween.
Yeah. Well, why would you get it for me for Christmas? That's disgusting. Then again, knowing you, Jeff, you might do that to me. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Next up, we've
Yep.
got Concerned Ape.
Yep.
Stardew Valley. From Concerned Ape. Talk to us about this. Yeah.
So, for those that know about Stardew Valley is a hit video game that came out. Oh God, I don't even want to think about how long Stardew Valley's been out now. Is it like 4 or 6 years? I'm taking a stab. Hopefully, I'm not like wildly off, and it's not way older. And this week we saw the release of the new board game, and the board game itself aims to bring the gameplay of the video game to the tabletop. Like the developer spent 2.5 years trying to make sure that the board game replicated the video game as much as they possibly could. It's got pretty much everything from the game: the villagers, the crops, animals, fishing, foraging, mining, more probably going into and killing monsters in the mine. It's designed for 1 to 4 players. Playtime takes about 45 minutes per year. Um, which
45 minutes per year.
Yes. So in Stardew Valley,
The years they rotate through. Okay, yeah,
correct.
the cycles, yeah.
Yes. It is a cooperative game as you're trying to restore the valley as you traverse through the seasons and level up your equipment. They did talk about it. They said that it was an easy game to get into, but a hard game to master, perhaps. So I think it's going to be every bit as challenging as the video game, in that they're trying to recreate that to the utmost that they did. It looks really nice. It's not a really high price point. It's a little low on the players for what I would want, and it's probably a little complicated for the more casual. But because it is a single player game as well, it looks like one of those nice ones that you can sit and try to. If you really enjoyed Stardew Valley, and I know there are tons and tons of people that did. I played it for a while. People still stream it. There's
Yeah, they
long
do.
playthroughs and stuff. 2016, so 5 years. I was close. I said 4 to 6, right? So
Yeah,
right
you
in the
did.
middle.
You did. You know what's going to be interesting is how many people are going to buy this just so they have something to play when the internet goes out. Oh, I can still play Stardew Valley. Break out the box set, have a good time with it.
Yeah.
This next one has really got me excited. From Ravensburger.
Oh.
the Alien Fate of the Nostromo. So game publisher Ravensburg has become well known for its licensed adaptations of movies, comics, cartoons, and theme park attractions. And it's got several more cool things lined up for 2021. 2, though, we'll look at this week. So first is Ravensburger's announcement of a more high-profile title that will debut on August 1st, 2021, Alien Fate of the Nostromo, which is, if you can see the screen, amazing. In space, no one can hear you scream, but that's, no one's really going to want to hear it anyway. But it's a cooperative race by the crew members to complete the objectives while avoiding the alien. This sounds like a familiar thing. The write-up on the rules doesn't seem too complex. The pressure and the threat from the alien will definitely add some weight to the gameplay. I'm excited. What's this other one that we're looking at here?
Yeah, Gargoyles.
Yeah.
They announced as well Disney Gargoyles Awakening box game will be joining, also coming out on the 1st of August. It's going to be as well a co-op game for 2 to 5 players. Though as you can see, there are 6 miniatures there, so you actually have a choice when you're playing. I guess each one will have a different ability or mechanic. There's 4 scenarios lined up in which you will do battle against iconic villains like Xanatos and Demona. And they will take place on a 3D cityscape board of Manhattan, the same setting as the show. I'm kind of interested that they haven't really shown anything of what the 3D cityscape board is going to look like. So I'm kind of curious at what that's going to be. I think it's going to be a pretty solid. It's going to the scenarios are all going to be, like missions. So there's 4 missions that come in the box. So it leaves it open for there to be expansions or something like that. So it's Gargoyles. It's going to probably sell well, though the nostalgia for Gargoyles might be starting to wane. Because I know they've been trying to do some new stuff with it, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Well, Gargoyles was a very iconic movie from Disney, so I'm betting the gameplay matches for each of those goblins, something that's styled with the goblins.
Whoa, movie.
No,
Video.
cartoon,
It
video
was
game.
a TV show.
Yeah, it was a TV show. I mean,
They had a movies. They
yeah,
had a couple movies, but it was the TV shows that
that
was.
really did it.
I
Is
know
that what
you're.
did it for you?
Well, I mean that was my childhood. I grew up with gargoyles.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to ruin your childhood a little bit. Speaking of childhoods being ruined, let's talk about this next one.
I mean,
You like that segue, didn't you?
yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's Exploding Kittens. Most of their stuff's pretty fun and interesting, and I mean, this doesn't look to disappoint. The name of the game, and yes, it is exactly this. The name of the game is Taco Cat spelled backwards. It took a second, yeah.
Mhm.
So yes, those crazy awesome developers went and made a game with a name that's going to confuse so many kids. Um, it's a two-player dueling game designed to be extremely portable and great for on-the-go gaming, like such as at an airport or while you're sitting waiting to get picked up after school. The best feature is that the box itself is the board up for the game. So you basically open up the box and that's what you play on. And it looks to be
I love this.
it looks to be some type of tug of war game that you're playing between
Uh-huh.
you and your opponent, trying to claim the taco.
I think this is going to be a lot of fun. The taco moves back and forth. Yeah, I think the thing is my son, my second oldest son, Elias. Elias, if you're watching, hope you're having a great day. I'm probably going to get you this game. He's the one who went to school one day as a taco cat, I
Nice.
believe, and then kept telling me taco cat, spell it backwards, and he'd keep doing it. I can spell taco cat, but I can only spell it backwards. And he would always say these things to me, and I just look at him because I knew exactly what he was saying, but that's my son. He loved those palindromic sentences. All right, next up, we're switching the gears a little bit to cards. It looks like.
Yep.
What's going on with Warhammer 40,000 and Magic?
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's coming. As was mentioned earlier this week on our Discord as well, Wizards of the Coast announced a new foray into expanding the Magic the Gathering universe by crossing the grimdark of Warhammer 40,000 and Tolkien's Middle Earth, just as the starters to these crossovers. So, Universes Beyond cards will not be standard legal, an important distinction. Universes Beyond will act as a brand within Magic the Gathering, existing in addition to and alongside the existing line of products. So it'll be branded slightly differently and it'll have a specific look as a result. So, chances are it's going to be a lot more interesting to play Warhammer 40,000 against other Warhammer 40,000 decks, maybe?
Yeah, one of the things that because of that, the emblem on the screen, that little triangular symbol, has actually already been used. It's the symbol from the Secret Lair X the Walking Dead cards, which are going to be grandfathered into Universes Beyond. So they are taking that symbol and they will apply it to all of these new universes coming to the Universes Beyond.
So your planeswalkers will still be protected. There will not be Space Marines saying "Purify this heretic" and blasting these, the wizards everywhere into small, meaty chunks. However, Secret Lair cards notwithstanding, we're going to see some more of this as it comes out. So, as I think was already mentioned, wait, we'll drop that in chat for everybody real quick. You can check this out yourself and see it on the Wizards website. I originally saw this on, I believe, the Games Workshop website.
Yep.
And that's what we talked about. So I'm glad we found the Magic link as well, because that really is important to see that it's the Universes Beyond, I think, for players to understand, where they stand with this. But it'll be a great way to, if you really love the 40K universe, I think you're going to see some exciting ways that they're going to bring the cards to play, which is interesting because, Games Workshop used to have a card company, Sabretooth Games. And I know in the U.S.
I vaguely remember the 40,
yeah, in the U.S. it was literally co-located in the same place as the Memphis location was.
Oh.
So as a matter of fact, when we moved from Baltimore to Memphis, they put us in their old spaces.
Oh,
I believe. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. So Magic the Gathering, awesome. Talk me through this next piece, Jeff.
7C. 7C is been around for a long time. And Pine Box Entertainment is teaming up with oh, why am I just blanking on the name? Anyways, they announced this week a development of a new experience for the 7C fans in the form of this hybrid card game slash board a game. They say that those familiar with their Doomtown game will find familiar concepts in area control, as well as the player driven story. While this is not going to be a return to the old 7C collectible card game from the past, this new game will focus on activities in the city, swashbuckling, piracy, stuff like that, but not naval combat itself. Key features from the RPG are the 7C RPG will also be incorporated in the cards themselves and in the actions in the game. Uh, this will be one of those games that's going to get interactives, the player-driven storyline experience as key parts of their inaugural World Championships that they are currently planning to be held at Gen Con in 2022. Um, at this tournament and through local organized play, players will be able to determine the direction of the storyline fiction. I always enjoy that. I love it when games are willing to take that risk that players are going to move the game in weird directions, but it it lends investment by the player into the game to really want to that drive to win in order to get their faction on top.
The
Um,
um, the group they're doing this in conjunction with is Chaosium Inc. By
yeah,
the way,
that's it.
if you take a look at the picture in the top left there, it's got Chaosium's logo
Ah,
in the bottom left.
perfect.
So, and you know Chaosium knows what they're doing with games too. So we love all their stuff, especially their. Well, I won't get into it, but we love all their stuff.
I think one of the cool things is that not only do they have the Doomtown designers, an established Western game, but they also brought in L5R, one of the L5R CCG designers, not the LCG, but old AEG CCG designers, as well as a designer from the Transformers TCG. So we got a bunch of different designers with different backgrounds coming together, and again the wonderful interactive player driven storyline. I think this has an opportunity to be quite interesting. And I know a lot of people have always loved the 7C um, setting, that
Hmm.
the wonderful story world and such. But
This is going to be cool. What do we got next from Plaid Hat?
Plaid Hat is pushing their Summoner Wars Second Edition. It is a fully expandable tactical dueling card game featuring updated versions of their factions, along with exciting new factions ready to join the battle. Um, so, unlike a normal two-person boxed card dueling game, this is not going to be just on tabletop, but you can purchase when you purchase this, you have the opportunity to also subscribe and play the game online. And it even says that you can do both. Now, I think they just mean that you can play on the tabletop with the box set and then play online with the subscription. And not somehow interacting with each other. They interestingly, they're trying to do this weird in-house subscription system with different goals for subscriber counts. Like at a couple thousand or something, they're going to implement a single player campaign. So they got some stretch goals there for their subscribers. You can purchase this already on their website. Estimated release is set for May of 21, with a expansion starter box in August of 21.
So this is a game that they're going to keep around for a while and then expand on. That's
So,
important to know
well,
when you're talking about your play value and then your replay value down the line.
yeah, I mean, Summoner Wars, the original, that was a long time ago. Um,
Did you play Summoner Wars, the original? I've never played this one.
I,
So
I never played the original Summoner Wars.
so
It came out in uh,
This is
2000. Oh, it's earlier than I thought. It was older than that. 2009. That's not as bad as I thought it was.
yeah. I'm definitely interested in the long term play on this. Um,
Oh yeah, if you're going to get a subscription and get invested in it online, you want it to have um, sustainability and long term interest. But even just getting the box set, having that type of dueling card game. Um, Summoner Wars had a lot of good interest, so I'm sure the second edition is just tightening it up a little bit,
mhm, mhm.
updating the art and such.
All right, that's really cool. I can't wait to see this on the table. Coming up next is our Kickstarter Roundup. So let's get this started right now with Victorian Age. So from Onyx Path Publishing, who in their wisdom decided to run this campaign on Indiegogo instead of Kickstarter, we have the Victorian Age setting for book for Mage, the Ascension 20th anniversary set. I'm kind of excited to see that. The crux of this book is that in the tumult of the Victorian era, you can live through the rise of the Order of Reason and faltering of the traditions. So watch and participate in the change of the Order of Reason into the Technocratic Union. The Techno Union is at your disposal. Yes, let's just go ahead and throw that Star Wars mimic right down there. But the Technocratic Union will be, formed. One of the most interesting aspects of the rules of magic in a world where there isn't an overriding consensus of reality and how that works is that in this supplement Mage, the 20th anniversary, is required to make full use of the rules and options presented in Victorian Age. The project has about 24 days left. It ends Friday, 26 March. Is this fully funded yet?
Oh yeah, it was easily fully funded. I mean, even though I don't think they got anywhere near the interest that they would have gotten on Kickstarter, because Indiegogo, while at a point was a peer of Kickstarter, it's kind of fallen behind in name recognition. But yeah, still, it's a Mage the Ascension from Onyx Path. Of course, it was going to get uh, funded. It's not probably as high as they would have liked, but they definitely crushed their funding goals. Um,
Yeah, I mean, look at the book itself and the artwork that's going with it. They didn't lose anything on this. I think they're going to do quite well.
oh
And
yeah,
this is a really good project built in. So,
yeah,
um,
and you're talking about the rules of magic changing are being slightly different in this world because part of the idea in Magic, the or in Mage the Ascension, when we talk about Magic the Gathering too much, Mage the Ascension was is that there's the idea of wow, I just blanked on when you cast something and reality says no back at you.
you get what, a paradox? Something hits you?
Paradox. That's it. That's the
Oh,
term. Well, paradox is created because all the normal people have this. They're sleepy. They're sleepers, and they have this mental image of the world as it should be. Well, that the way they got that way was because of during this age, the Order of Reason becoming the Technocratic Union, also known as the Technocracy, puts out this idea in people's head that this is the way the world should be. Anything outside of that is nonsense. And so their overriding consensus of what reality should be is what created paradox. So this book is happening at a time when that overriding consensus isn't as strong. So perhaps paradox isn't as strong, which lets the mages do some more wacky and crazy stuff without having, getting slapped in the face by paradox. So I think it'll be real interesting.
I think that paradox allows you to do minor changes, but major ones would be ridiculous. Is that basically the limiting factor?
It's always dependent. I remember back in I think it changed slightly, but back in the day it was based upon who saw you or who noticed the change. Would create the and then how big the magic was. But I think it's changed more into this. They've refined it with the 20th edition and Ascension versus Awakening, or I think that might have been Awakening actually.
Mhm.
There's too many editions.
All right. Next up, we've got Tribality Publishing.
Yeah. So follow on to their fifth edition, which is a fifth edition compatible supplement that furthers the tales of their previous uh, Kickstarter, which was Seize on the Vidari. Um, you dive into the world full of action and adventure set beneath the waves of Vidari, the world, on your own, or you can bring this into your own fifth edition campaign world. This 200 plus page book from Tribality Publishing, named Under the Seas of Vidari, pushes into an area I personally do not see all that much content. That's the undersea. Uh, I think it's really great to have an entire supplement that's going to be dedicated to it. And game masters will find the support to run single adventures or entire campaigns underwater in this world full of interesting people, locations, monsters, and more. Undersea creatures, equipping your surface dwelling adventurer to survive or thrive in the undersea environment. I'm hoping flippers, maybe some type of magical scuba, uh, you know, breathing device. Uh, the content looks nice. I like the art. There's more if you go to the link, but their art looks it's this nice cartoonish but not too cartoony, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
It's a nice art to look at. Um, it's traditional. You got all of the stuff that you would expect in the type of setup. The map that they have for the world looks really cool. I like that big whirlpool in the middle of this world.
Is it a whirlpool or a hurricane or a kind of a combination of the two?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. I'm assuming that some type of what's that thing from Greek myth or from Odysseus?
The
Um,
whirlpool.
yeah, the it had a name though, but it reminds me of that, right? But just on
Hmm.
a grander scale. Um, this is already mostly written as well, which is really nice. So you can expect a quick turnaround. I think they're saying like October to actually get the book in your hands. But as soon as the Kickstarter ends and you've pledged, they're going to go ahead and send you a 126-page quick start guide, so that you can go ahead and get this supplement into your hands and onto the board as quickly as possible. So you don't even need to wait for the full book. Uh,
There's
this
definitely some amazing art on this.
this was a bit of a last minute catch. I just failed at seeing it last week. So it ends actually in 3 days. It ends on Friday, March the 5th by about noon Eastern. So if this is something that you want to add to your campaigns, an undersea adventure, then go ahead and check out that link. Yeah, Cribdus. Thank you.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Next up, Gamelin Games. Oh, I know you slipped this in here for me, Jeff, because it's got miniatures. The next iteration is here in Gamelin Games' Tiny Epic series. This time, players delve into a dangerous dungeon crawler with tiny epic dungeons. So it's a fully cooperative dungeon crawler for 1 to 4 players set in the fantasy world of Ogmore, estimated to take 30 to 60 minutes per playthrough. It features a modular dungeon. It creates new experiences for each play. The gameplay runs through 2 systems. First, the dungeon that has to be navigated, but then the final boss that also must be defeated. So while the base set is just 5 heroes for an extra $10, they throw in another 8 hero miniatures and tons more cards and mats to expand the play options far beyond that. So in the week or so that this has been out on Kickstarter, it's already at $1.25 million and has 14 days remaining. So you got until Wednesday, 17 March to join in on this action with these miniatures, these cards, this entire like mini dungeon campaign setup. I love it. It's a fun way to play with your friends, and for 30 to 60 minutes, you can't really beat that.
So yeah, what you see on the screen, that is just the base set. Those
Mm-hmm.
3 columns, and then the $10 expansion almost, I wouldn't say quite doubles it, but probably 2/3 more on top of that. So really good value. This is their like 12th or 13th Tiny Epic game that they've put out.
Now,
Um,
is it $10? Because it says here on the first column there $25.
So it might be 15 because I think it might be like either 35 or 40. But yeah, so $10 more than what this is the base at 25. And
Mm,
for 10 more you get the the bigger box.
okay. Okay. That's amazing. And it
Yeah.
looks like they spared no expense on the artwork either.
Nope.
And it looks like the cards are high quality. How do you not pick this up? Is my question.
Like I said, Gameland has a wide range of tiny epic games in their series. So this is a wonderful addition. I love the idea of the random tile set to create new adventures. They were really, if you check out the link, you can really get into a feel for how it's supposed to run, from what you're supposed to do in the dungeon to how you actually have to defeat the boss. You can't just run straight to the boss and then try to kill him, because he's unkillable until you do certain things in the dungeon. So
So you got to get things to like weaken him down and stuff
yep.
like that. Okay. I dig it. I dig it. What do we got next here from Pops and BU Games?
Yeah, we got Cultivate. Welcome to Cultivate, a take that pattern building board game based on satirical cult leaders from Pops and Beiju Games. You play as a cult leader looking to fill your compound with followers to help carry out your agenda. This is a competitive race against your opponents to score the most points. You can slightly interact. You also have to watch out for the investigators that are trying to infiltrate your cult, and they will deny you access and points by uh, breaking out your activities wide and far. It's a game for 2 to 5 players, widely varying objectives and opportunities. So it can take anywhere from 20 to 50 minutes per play. So you can win quickly or you can win slowly. It's a fun little game to use your followers' lives for your gain, and it ends its Kickstarter in 26 days. It just started already, easily broke its goal. So it'll end on Monday, March 29th.
All right. All right. Outstanding. Next up, you want to tell me about this Dungeon Alchemist? I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, so like I remember, I saw it pop up in my feed. I think I might have
I
even got
think
an
it's popped
email.
up on everybody's feed, including mine and everything. So I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on Instagram. I'm pretty sure I'm seeing it anywhere they can post it up for me.
Which is insane because it's literally this 3D artist, a longtime role player from Belgium, Wim de Hurt, has designed the Dungeon Alchemist.
Mhm.
And it is a AI powered map making software for your tabletop RPGs. So it can make awesome looking maps really fast with tons of variants and customization after creation. Right now, I think they're up to 15 different environments that have been unlocked, including the base like 6 or 7. Um, uh, One of the best things is like you basically go to this grid, you click, you drag it, whatever like zone or room that you need, it auto populates stuff in it, but you can still go in afterwards and move stuff. If you want the chair to be facing a different direction, or if you want the table to be on the other side of the room, you can still go in and modify after it's already dumped all these assets in. Um, it looks amazing. It's crazy. You can see, you can just straight print out these maps, and it looks like it has direct connection into the example here was Foundry,
Mhm.
which we're hearing more and more about Foundry, and we were talking about this before.
Yeah, we
That
were.
we
We
might need to
were.
check out Foundry.
I
It's
think
game,
Foundry needs to sponsor us. I think Foundry should definitely take a look at us for sponsorship and give us some love, and we would give Foundry all the love back.
but I mean, I'm just saying in general, it's starting to pick up a lot of steam.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of role playing game companies that are starting to build for it more than the others. It seems. Um,
Yeah, it seems a little more intuitive.
I mean,
And the fact that it's programmable is pretty tight on Foundry, and this would be a natural fit, I would think, in terms of its ease of use.
So with 8 days remaining on this Kickstarter, that's over 1.5 million dollars raised uh, for a mapping software, which is just mind-boggling. But hey, definitely, if you are interested in maps for your role-playing games, dungeons, they even got out overworld stuff with different stuff, things like winter and sewers, all types of places. So it's not just dungeons. Um, Go ahead and check it out. Link is in chat. And yeah, I think that's gonna end it, or at least take us into the break.
I think it will. I think it will.
That was
So,
a long
dude,
segment.
that's a lot of good stuff today, man. Like, we don't normally get that much good stuff. And I think the back and forth has been awesome, too. Looks like we got a raid. Did we get a raid?
Yeah, there's a raid.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thanks to everybody who raided. Who we got raiding in? So, we just wrapped up the news. Thank you, Campfire Quest. We're about to go into our interview with Lee Goldberg, who is the amazing culinary artist and person with a TTRPG passion. He is fantastic. We love having him. I spoke with him earlier this week, and I got to say, he's a very positive and wonderful human being. We're going to be talking to him and see how he's combined both his TTRPG passion and his culinary artistry into something that's been rather unique. And at this time, pretty iconic at this point. He's pretty famous for it. And he's in chat too already. So when we come back from our short break, you're going to get to see and ask him questions. So if you have questions, make sure you type those in the chat right there. Just type with a big question in front of it so that we can spot it even faster, and we will be on it and get your questions answered. So, all right, guys. So let's take it away to break, and we'll be right back. we're live and we're back. I'm right here with Lee Goldberg from Griddle Champions on the Pancake Art Show on Idle Champions. So, Lee, it's awesome to have you here. I had a great conversation with you briefly earlier this week to get everything squared away to get you here. Just to confirm, where in the world are you right now?
Avernus. Sorry, Phoenix,
Phoenix,
Arizona.
Okay, so not far from Avernus. Yeah.
Neighbors.
Absolutely. So just walk me through. You got started in pancake art, and but that wasn't where you started everything. Wait a minute. First, let's kind of go back to the beginning. Where'd you grow up? Was it Phoenix?
No, I grew up in Philadelphia.
In Philly. Okay.
But I mean, it's one of those questions that's so hard. It's like, where did you grow up? I grew up out here. I mean, from 10 to 22, and then I moved, and then I came back. So I grew up here, but I was born in Philly. Most of my family's either in Philly, Jersey, or New York.
Okay, so you're an East Coaster at heart. That's well from the beginning, but now you're an Arizonan.
Yeah, and I fought really hard not to say wooder.
So what brought you out to Arizona, and how long ago was that?
I was 10, and just my mom, my brother, and I, we were living in California with her husband at the time, and they separated, and she loved the Southwest, and we were very supportive of her and of just, embracing life and things like that. And it wasn't like we had anything. We're 10 and 14, almost 10 and 14. We didn't have any roots. So we
didn't really have a choice at 10 and 14 either. Like if she says, hey, we're moving here, you kind of got to go with her. Yeah.
Mother, I'm going to put my foot down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But I actually like it out here a lot. I don't have to shovel snow ever. So
were you, yeah, you don't really. Were you always a gamer?
No, I mean, video games for sure. I think I was always a gamer at heart. I just didn't know what that meant. My brother and I played Magic the Gathering, and it was one of those things where he was really into it, and to hang out with my big brother, who I was, I had the hero worship of, I, acquiesced. I got the cards as well, and we would play, and he would win because he cared more and I didn't as much. And so I didn't have that community around it. And I didn't play my first game of any TTRPG until I was 30.
Oh, really?
30? Last week. I'm just kidding.
Last week.
No, I'm just kidding. No.
You're so youthful.
I know, right?
Well, that's the interesting part is you didn't start till last week. No. And then, you just started, and how long ago was it you actually started TTRPGs? Like, how long have you been playing now?
Well, 6 years now.
6 years. Okay.
Okay. Let's be honest. 6.5 years, almost.
6.5 years, almost 7.
Getting
old. Like that guy who's like, I'm almost 18. I'm almost 18.
Yeah. So my first real introduction was sort of adjacent to it, I guess, because I listened to Brian Posehn's Nerd Poker when it was originally on.
Oh, yeah.
That was more, I don't know how I stumbled upon it in the first place, but it was more of a, Brian Posehn is hilarious, and these are nerds like me. They're playing D&D, but aside from that, they're telling this awesome story, and they're really funny, and they're not taking things too seriously. And at the time, I was in a really bad place, mentally, physically, all of that. I actually struggled with addiction really badly for probably from like 19 to 6 years ago, like a week and a half before I turned 30.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was bad. But it's one of those things where I wouldn't take any of it back, because as bad as that was, and as horrible as, I didn't really feel like I existed on paper, because I didn't have a lease, a car, and anything. I was couch surfing and just working restaurant jobs, trying to hide, who I really am, and just use the money I make that night to stay well for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't have met my fiance. I wouldn't have a beautiful son who it just turned 19 months. There's no way I would be a pancake artist. You gotta, I don't know, maybe you gotta be weird and messed up for that anyway. I don't know. But, I can't take things in my life back. So I need to be grateful for where I am now because of it. But
very forward,
yeah.
Very positive. I like that. Do you?
If not, I'd lose it. No.
Yeah.
No, it's really helpful. And so this podcast helped me kind of like hang on to that little bit of sanity I felt, like I needed to shut the world out. So I got very contained and would listen to podcasts and things like that. And then fast forwarding a few years, I just finally it was one of those things where I realized, because I was almost turning 30, I realized that I'm going to turn 30 because that's around the corner, but there's no way I'll make it to 40. And I had resigned to that fact. And just looking back, that's such a horrible thing to be like, oh, well. So I went into treatment for my struggles. And I put my head down and I did the things that I needed to do to, get clean and to realize that my image of myself was not who I really was. Mm-hmm. And so I did everything I could to do things right. And I'd been cooking for just so many years, not professionally, but as a hobby. My dad, there's pictures of me at 4 stirring pasta sauce with my dad. And so, I came into the kitchen and was just like, hey, do you guys ever need help prepping? And my knife skills were already good. So I didn't have to train. I didn't have to do all that stuff. I just was like, you need 3 gallons of onions? Got it. So they hired me on to be a cook, and I was doing brunches and things like that. And residents would order sunny side up eggs sometimes. And to me, those look like eyeballs. So I'd give them faces out of hash brown, sausage, bacon, and just kind of something to do with the boredom, keep my hands busy. And I had
you'd make them faces
when it was slow enough.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah. It was,
that keeps it creative, keeps people happy. It adds a little spark of joy in an otherwise, rough situation for a lot of folks. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Because I actually ended up cooking, where I got clean. So we've got these people that, they're in there for their first 30, 60, 90 days. And, some are looking out the door like they want to leave. And here's someone who went through their program and was just like happy to live life and to be there and to cook them food. Because that's one of the things is when I cook, there are rooms, there's 4 people to a room, there's classes, meetings, all these kind of things that feel very much like, oh, I'm in rehab. And the last thing I want someone to do when they walk away from something I've cooked them is to think, oh, well, that was pretty good for rehab food. I want them to know there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with who you are. You deserve what anyone else deserves. So I cook my heart out and have fun. And one of my really good friends said, I got to tell you, the first time I ever met you in line, I effing hated you. And I was like, cool, bro, thanks. And he's like, no, it was because I didn't know or understand how someone could be sober and that happy. And I was like, well, stick around. It's like, stick around, bud. And we became really close friends, bonded over comic books. And then just one day I had a resident say, hey, have you ever heard of pancake art? And I hadn't, so I looked it up.
That's awesome. Pancake art's where it's at, man. Really is.
Who knew?
Yeah, and you're kind of like not just any pancake artist. You're now like a famous pancake artist. Like, and I mean, until I met you, I'd never heard of pancake art. But you are the one who brought pancake art to the forefront for me personally.
Yeah, I am definitely the TTRPG realm's first interaction to it often. But I'm actually an artist for Dan Cakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe my manager, Hank, is in chat.
Oh, hey Hank, if
And
you're there, say hi. We'd
job
love-
security, he's become my best friend. So that's helpful. But I mean, they're so amazing. And they're a St. Louis based company. We
Mhm.
even have a griddle that we designed to be, used for pancake. I mean, you could use it for whatever, but the heating is specifically to get even cooking through your pancakes. And so we have our own griddle, and I'm a picture of me as in our book. So this ugly mug
That's awesome.
will help you
You're
learn.
immortalized.
Yeah.
The thing is though, like, how did you figure out, like, when did you pick up pancake art? Like, that was in the
It was as when I was cooking for
Yeah.
the treatment center. It was seriously someone just saying, "Have you heard of it?" And I hadn't, but I was doing a brunch. I had a ton of pancake batter left over, so I looked it up online and I grabbed a coffee filter and just put some batter in it. Used my flat top and I poked a hole in the filter and used it like a piping bag. And it was not good at all, but it was a lot of fun, so I
That
stuck with it.
is genius. Hey, we have a question from the crowd, which we know is loaded. How cool is your best friend Sean?
My forever best friend Sean,
Yeah.
he's the reason I have a show still.
Okay.
I want to make a mean joke. I want to be cute, but he's super great. Everyone at CNE Games is awesome. Eric reached out to me. We had met at a D&D function a few years prior, and he's just a really great supportive person. Another one of those job security. He loves our show. So as long as he loves our show and you like our show, we will keep doing it. And he offered me, he said, "Hey, we're going to give you 10 episodes. You'll make pancakes of our content, or the D&D licensed games." So, I mean, I got to make Dritz. I got to make, just recently, I think I made a Kraken. And it was super, super fun and a really cool idea. But I was like, no one wants to sit and watch me just make pancake art for 2 hours. So I was like, cool, I get 10 episodes, a paycheck, and an apology to them for if I wasted their time. But then I was introduced to Sean, who is my co-host, who works for CNE Games and actually does their trouble tickets. So
really?
Yeah, so he knows the things and he can answer questions about like, hey, I'm having an issue. And so, I was wondering, we were supposed to get one of like trial episodes, like, hey, we're gonna do an episode, see how it runs or anything like that. But it was just here's 10 minutes for you guys to meet while we talk about the show. Your first episode is on Friday. And and I'll tell you, I mean, I'm an extrovert to my core, but
Yeah.
the chemistry that he and I have as like real good friends was so instantaneous that it was like, okay, this show has legs. Because, one of the awesome things is we're pancake art. If you take pancake art too seriously, you're missing the point. Our company motto at Dan Cakes is mistakes are delicious. You make a mistake, you still have a wonderful pancake. So
yeah,
can't
I
be that
mean,
bad.
maple syrup can fix anything almost. I mean, like, that's the great thing about pancake art, right?
Yeah.
Except your pancake art is off the charts. Like, it's like when you think about it, like, you could literally take a photograph like someone's got on their phone and they show it to you. You could do that.
Yeah, I mean, when we do events live, and boy, when it's possible to, I hope to do a lot more. I mean, we've traveled all over. Like some Dan Cakes, they've been to like Singapore, Brazil. I mean, we've traveled. We've worked with Disney a couple of times. Done some really fun things. But yeah, I mean, I don't just go, hey, I'm gonna do some D&D pancakes. I just, hey, if you got a picture on your phone, or I can look it up on Google or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I can make it.
Now,
And
how long did it take you to learn how to do this? I mean, like what was your first pancake?
my,
Was it like my first
it was
drawing
just
of a stick figure and a really bad stick figure dog and all that other stuff? Or what was it? What was it like for
probably
you?
worse. Probably worse. No, I mean it was just getting a feel for drawing with it, because I didn't have multiple colors. I didn't have anything like that. But the thing is, I mean, it's just like drawing, right? Drawing in itself is not hard. Anyone can do it. Drawing well takes practice, takes time, takes effort, and that's all it is I practice. Like I remember Dan cakes at the time. I was like buying my own griddle, my tubes, the equipment to do it better than I had been. They had come out with like an Age of Ultron. They made a video of doing all the characters, and so I'm making this like crude bumblebee that isn't burnt, and just a bumblebee, not the transformer, which I have done also. But I was doing that kind of thing and posting it on Facebook, and all my friends are like, hey, can you do this? And then the Dan Cakes thing would show up, and I had not yet known them or talked to them at all. So I was just like, cool, no, never will I be able to do that. And it's just really funny to look back and how I've grown and shoot how Dan has grown as an artist, and just look at those and just kind of want to call Dan and just be like, all right, man, here's where you messed up on those pancakes. But yeah, I mean, it's practice. Everything is practice. And
Yeah.
I used to do really bad things to myself and in life when I had quiet brain time. So I found something that could occupy that to an extent where I was energized and happy and brought joy to others. So I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer to just keep pushing and pushing. And then I reached out on Instagram to anyone that was doing it because I just wanted pointers for this hobby. And the company that did traveling events, that did all this really cool content, they're the ones that were like, hey man, looked at your stuff, you got a lot of promise. And I was like, okay, wow. And we talked, and as they grew and as my talents grew, they brought me on as as like an apprentice artist. And I went to Anime St. Louis was the first event I ever worked. And it was like a table next to Dan, because it wasn't like, here's our new artist, go get him, kid. Because a
lot of pressure.
Well, it's also just a matter of the way I did my batter to the way they did it was different. I had mine thicker because I had control issues, because it's a liquid, so if you've got a squeeze tube that's upside down, the easiest way for it
fast if you don't have it. Yeah.
Easiest way to do that is to make it so it physically couldn't.
Yeah.
So my line work was nowhere near where it needed to be and things like that. So I had to adjust to their style. And I remember, one of the things that I'm pretty good at is if I don't like something I'm making and I know it's not going to be what I want it to be, I can at least put on the face and attitude of like, yep, here's your pancake. Like not just sit there like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever done. But on that first event, this one little girl comes up, and they're pretty honest.
Yeah, kids are really good about that.
They're brutal with it sometimes. And every time I would turn my squeeze tube to draw, it would start to leak out the tip. And I just kept doing it, wiping it off, wiping it off. The first time I made it where I started drawing before it started to just ooze out, I just went with it. I just kept going. And it was supposed to be an Ariel, and Disney princess faces for me still are hard because there's just so many like soft lines that go into sharp lines, like all that kind of stuff. So it was, it was finished and cooking, and I'm just sitting at it, pouring sweat just because of anxiety. And I know that once I flip this, I'm just going to feel so foolish. And most of the times when you make a mistake, people are still really grateful or realize like, hey, I couldn't do it. So that's really neat. This lady like looks, this little girl looks at it and looks at her dad. It's like, no. And the dad's like, say thank you. And she's like, no. I was like, cool. How many more hours of this do we have? But I just kept working, and I really, at the time, I needed to practice my face work a lot, because, you know, a lot of times you get a reference material, and it's like, okay, just got to try to make this cartoon character look like this make it look like the image.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing someone's face, I mean, that's where you have to decide the shading. And it's a lot less about like, I'm going to try to put everything I see in your face into this pancake. It's actually almost the reverse. It's like, what can I leave out so that it doesn't look like a melted G.I. Joe when I flip it? Because the mind wants things to work, right? So
right.
If you draw someone's face and you just put like a subtle line here, just a little blob of pancake like that, when you flip it, it can actually look like this really good jaw or cheekbone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the psychology of making someone's face. So I needed to practice, and Nerd Poker had come back as a podcast, and it was now DM'd by Dan Telfer, another super funny comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And I made pancakes of all their faces as like practice. So looking back on it now, it's one of those things where I can point out every single thing that I, you know, artists critiquing themselves kind of thing.
Is that how they discovered you?
I posted it on Instagram and Twitter, and I tagged. I was learning how to use those things because I want people to see my work. Yeah. Still not great at it, but
I don't think any of us are going to ever be great at it. They keep changing it every time we start to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get Miles to mess around with it so that he can start doing my social media next week. Like, buddy, you gotta just stop sending random streams of letters. But yeah, so I did that, and they were recording a Patreon episode, and they had Joe Manganiello as a guest. And so at one point they're saying something like, okay, guys, we got to show them our poker face. It's like, yeah, our nerd poker face. And then the hero of my life, and really the reason why I have a D&D pancake art show, is Ken Daly saying, as depicted in pancakes. And they're like, what is it as depicted in pancakes? And they're like, oh yeah, this guy on Instagram made all of our faces as pancakes. So they stopped this D&D episode for like 30
with Joe Manganiello sitting there.
Yeah, and they're on my Instagram looking at all of my pancakes that I had on there, and there's nothing that a pancake artist loves hearing more, especially on a recorded podcast, as wait, that's a pancake? So that happened, and I get a DM, and he's like, have you seen Foursquare? Have you seen Critical Role, Acquisitions Incorporated? Have you watched these things? And I was like, no, I just know Nerd Poker. Like, you got to. And when Alcide tells you to watch all these shows, you don't say like, no, I think I'm good, thanks. So I did. I jumped in, and I 80% of my awake hours, I had a Critical Role episode on in my ear. Because at my day job, when I'm cooking, it's muscle memory. So I'm able to listen and still focus. Mm-hmm. And so I just got really into it, and I would make fan art out of pancakes. And then the monster, like, my favorite things to make are either grotesque, horrific monsters or adorable little familiars or things like that. Like those are the most fun. The ones that are super adorable or super rad and gnarly. Like the Kraken I did is one of my, it's up there.
Have you done a beholder yet? I think you have.
I have done so many beholders. I do have a running joke because of how many I have. When we were at Stream of Many Eyes, a good friend of mine, Shad, he does amazing dungeons and terrain stuff. He's amazing. And he had asked for something, but we were right at the end of our day, and I had to cut it off there. So his running joke is that I can't make a beholder. Like I don't know how. So he'll be like, yeah, but can you make a beholder? And I'll like reply like, nah, man, post a picture of a beholder I've done. Next one. I just don't know if I could make it beholder. I just did a beholder. I did a pirate beholder on Friday's episode of Griddle Champions.
Oh, you did.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And some people have mentioned that they love seeing Lee, not just an arm. However, for those of you who know Lee only by his arm, to prove this really is the same Lee, could you do a demo? There it is, folks. There's the arm.
The tattoo.
The tattoo. Right, I'll do everyone sees.
I'm so sorry to my fan cakes. The rest of the interview will be just this.
No. Please don't do that to me.
Hello. No, that's me. I exist as a person.
So we do have another question though. What is your favorite familiar and why is it the snowy owlbear?
Boy, do I
Thanks,
feel like
Robo Goblin 01.
Yeah. I knew who asked it.
Yeah.
Currently it's probably the pink fuzzy beholder I did. It's really cute. Spoiler alert. That answer is probably going to change after this week. I can't say any more than that, but the pink adorable beholder I did is my current favorite. Ask me again a week from last Friday, and it will definitely change. I'm excited for a pancake I'll be making.
Of all the pancakes you've made so far, the artwork wise, I mean, obviously the delicious pancakes that you eat are some of your top favorites, but of all the pancake art you've made so far, what has been like, it doesn't have to be, TTRPG related, but what's the one that you've gotten the most satisfaction from? The one that you went, yeah, that's really some great work.
There's kind of two answers to that.
Okay.
The first one's a little easier. I was doing a brunch that I do, and my folks were in town from New Jersey, and I did a pancake of my dad's face that maybe just because I've known him for so many years, is like a perfect rendition of my dad's face. So I got to show him my art and flip his face over, and it not just be like, hey, that's a really good guy. I mean, it looks a little like your dad. I mean, it is my dad. So that is the validation answer kind of, but the answer that I have is not only provable through videotape. When I was in town in St. Louis for an event, or we were doing an event there, I got the chance to record in our studio, which has multiple camera angles, and we have just a really cool studio. And when the Ghosts of Saltmarsh alternate cover came out, like I was watching Greg Tito's show, and he was like, so here's the art. And I was just like, I am going to make a pancake of that cover, which is like so detailed and such a awesome piece of art that it was like so ambitious. And sometimes I'm like, I want to make that. That's a thing I want to make, but I don't get to it because of just timing. But I had studio time, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make that pancake. And in St. Louis, we actually have the capabilities to preserve pancakes. So this pancake not only was my favorite pancake, this pancake is currently in Greg Tito's game room, forever preserved.
Frame.
And it is, yeah. If you go to dancakes.com, you can actually order framed preserved pancakes.
How do you preserve a pancake?
Wishy magic. There's you got to answer a few of the wizard's riddles.
You got to lacquer it. What do you do?
I think I don't make them. Hank does, but it's like freeze drying it, and then like you make the frame and then pour like a resin over it, and it frames beautifully actually. And so, yeah, I made a Sahuagin pancake that took me 1 hour and 45 minutes to draw.
That's intense.
I mixed 7 blues just for this one pancake.
How do you set your burners
temperature?
On something like that? Yeah, I mean, because an hour and 45 minutes, a pancake doesn't usually normally sit on a griddle that long and do well.
Right.
At least not in my limited pancake. I mean, like I'm nowhere near your quality of pancake culinary expertise, good sir.
Yeah.
So I can only tell you I've burned pancakes in far less time than an hour and 45 minutes.
And that's kind of part of why the Dane Cake's griddle is really cool, is the heating element evenly distributes heat, because that's a real issue when you're trying to cook something. But if I'm doing a live event where I've got to turn and burn and just like got to make a pancake in 5 minutes, go, here's yours, that kind of thing. There you have it between 200 and 250 degrees. But when you're doing something ambitious and long form, you'll either go really like just to warm or temperature off. And
So
then
you
sometimes
set everything in position and then you
and then you cook it afterwards. Like you cook it when it's finished, works. You can also, if you want the lines to stick a little bit, you can like temperature off and then turn it on a little bit so it just barely like sticks it. Then you turn it off. Yeah. Okay. But if you're at home trying it, temperature off. Just go temperature off, draw it, cover it, and then just turn the heat on then, and you'll know when it's ready to flip. It gets cooked pancake because it's thinner, so it's not, you're not having like a big pancake and wondering if it's cooked through.
I think that you blow the doors off of anything that I do in terms of my ability to do that. I think I'll leave that to the pancake cooking professionals. If you want to learn how to paint miniatures, we'll talk. But
well, here's the thing. Yeah. I think you'd be great at it, especially because of your miniature painting. You probably have a slightly steadier hand than most. I'm not going to talk about your hand steadiness. I just don't know. But you need a steady hand to paint a little. So get some squeeze tubes, get some color. Mistakes are delicious, so there's no competition. No one's going to judge you for it. But you said you have like, what, 5 kids?
I do. A
cartoon smiley face on a pancake is really fun, no matter how old you are. So I definitely wouldn't say leave it to the expert. Leave it to the experts for like, don't try to book yourself an event to be in front of a crowd of 50. But when you're with your family, or you're at home and you feel like drawing, but you don't feel like.
Yeah, but they're all kids, so they're going to tell me what they really think of Dad's pancakes. That's the part that horrifies me the most.
Yeah, well then have them do it and then tell them what you think. Just be like, hey, I know you're 6 and all, but this line work is shoddy. What?
No. My kids can actually probably cook pancakes better than me, to be fair.
Perfect.
Do you find, so, because as I work paint on a miniature, I work, from back to front, but you have to do that in reverse. If I look at it correctly, you're doing from front to back in terms of your color.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, that's a completely different mindset for me. And it would be a definitely a work in progress as I ruin pancake after pancake doing it backwards. Probably there's a lot of stuff I'd have to unlearn in terms of making that work.
I think that's true, but also the thing that's kind of helpful to think about is like whatever you put down first is going to stay. So if you put a straight line down, because that's going to, or a pupil or whatever, but if you put a straight line down and then you do a line across from it, you're going to have that break. So what it's going to be. You're not doing a lot of guesswork on basic shapes, like a 2D animation thing. When you're doing it, you'll kind of know whether you kind of hit it or didn't based on just your outlining, The real issue sometimes is the fact that it's backwards because you're flipping it. Most of the time it doesn't matter. If it's your face going like this, no one's going to say like, it's so wrong because it's doing this.
Yeah.
But if it's like a logo or luckily I get my images for Griddle Champions already flipped. Like the images flipped.
Oh, yeah. That's smart.
CNE Games looks out for our show because here's the thing. If I make a pancake of Jarlaxle, which so many people know, all about him, and I have his eye patch on the wrong side, internet, man, some people are going to be upset about that. So it's helpful. I mean, there's images, there's like, I have like an image swap thing. So if I really need to, I once did Salvador Dali's Persistence of Memory because I made the mistake. I wanted to do a pancake earlier days, and I made the mistake of asking a professional pancake artist, like, hey, I'm bored. What should I make? Where a lot of times someone will be like, oh, do Cat Dog, do Ren and Stimpy, do something fun. Yeah. He's like, do Salvador Dali's Persistence of Memory. And this is the guy who's going to be my boss. So I'm like, okay. And
never ask him what to do next.
It's on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's dope. So,
well, I guess he pushed you to find something harder and harder to do. Does Dan have a art background by chance? Is that why he did that? Or is he just like to challenge
He's a really
himself?
good, we have some, minus some of the drug stuff, we have similar backgrounds in cooking first. Now he's a musician and a phenomenal artist for sure, but he came into it as a short order cook at a diner, and he used one of those drip cuts, the containers that you put the batter in, and you just kind of put the thing. A lot of times syrup is in them, and he drew with that. He made a smiley face, and someone tipped him $15, and that's worth screwing around a little more. Yeah.
So, how do you dye the pancake batter? Like, how do you get the color without?
Yeah.
I mean, does it change the flavors? Is it like strawberry batter for red and blueberry batter for blue, or how do you guys do that?
Well, I know that, R&D has definitely put in some time with like natural food colorings, things like that. But, beautiful red beet that you mix into batters can change the batter's consistency, can also look great, cook brown, So the easiest thing to do is to avoid the standard like liquid food coloring. Because sometimes to get a really good color, you need a lot, and that much in your batter. It doesn't really affect the taste too much. Like, food coloring doesn't have flavor to it, but it's definitely going to make it gummier. But what we use is like icing gel food coloring. So like if you've ever had a blue frosted cupcake, there's just a few drops of the gel.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think it's sucrose based, so maybe your pancake will be a little sweeter.
And there's never anything wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for this guy, anyway.
So, but it doesn't. It's a delicious pancake. My kid eats at least one pancake after every stream. So, my son has already slayed an ancient red dragon. Come at him? Don't though.
So, bringing it back to TTRPGs, coming off the pancakes, because you're probably best known for your pancakes at this point. But let's talk about your TTRPG background. Now, you started getting into TTRPGs about 6 years ago, 6.5 years, almost 7 years ago, as we discussed.
All right, guy, come on. Yes, the wheels of time are turning.
But as you did that, like, what was your first game like? I mean, like, you came out of what you were doing and you started doing TTRPGs.
Yeah, so I was watching just if there was D&D being played on internet and it was on YouTube or something, I just gobbled it up. So, sort of learning by playing, loving the interweaving, telling of stories with your friends, with improvisation and a loose enough set of rules to not fly off the handles, but also sometimes to fly off the handles in a controlled way, or not sometimes. But I had reached out. I reconnected with a friend from the before times, and he was like, "Oh yeah, me and my fiance, we love Critical Role. In fact, we have a D&D game at our house. Do you want to sit out? Do you want to spot?" And so I was just like, "Yeah, freaking-lutely."
Yeah.
And so I was like gonna play my first game, and I was just like, okay, I think I went from a Dragonborn paladin to a sorcerer with all kind, wild magic and all that, and I just didn't know what I wanted to be. I character creation sometimes when your aim is to create a character, it's a lot harder than when your aim is to like like take a joke you said or a thing that popped in your head and turn that into a character. But I needed to make a character. So I went on YouTube and I looked up the WebDM has great resources for like, so you want to build a monk, you know, it's like, it talks about the classes, the character types, the ancestries, all that kind of stuff. And like how you could role play them, you know, ideas, like just all these really cool ideas. And so I got okay, cool. And I liked Monk because it had some really cool speed-based physical, you know, I like the acrobatics. I love Nightwing, you know, Nightwing over Batman sometimes just because of the like how cool a choreographed fight can be when you're doing flips and tricks and kicks and flurries of blows. Yep. So I had decided, okay, I'll do a monk. And you know, I was having some fun with it. So I was like, okay, name Ryu Ken Akuma, or from Street Fighter, and I love that game forever. And okay, so it was Ryuken Akuma. And he had a brother named Dan that he very much did not like. But yeah, so I made the Way of the Open Paw? I don't know. The super fighty one.
Mm-hmm.
And a stunning strike has gotten our group out of some messes. But it was a lot of fun. I loved it, and we played that game for 2 years, got to level 20, and then started a second campaign. And then I had my son, where I mean, I had to go remote for that game before everyone had to go remote for the games. And it's
so you were ahead of the curve.
Sort of. It's really hard. It's not as hard to play online, I've found, when everyone is. Mm-hmm. But when everyone's in the room and you're on a screen that's not like projected over your seat or anything, it's really easy to feel forgotten. Plus you have to hear like everyone in the room's like, hey, what did Dearmid say?
Yeah.
So it was hard, and I kind of I had to kind of walk away from that. And I mean, I wish I could play so many more than I do. We got to work at GaryCon once. We actually made it kind of our Dan Cake's vacation, and we got a Airbnb in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and you know, it was like they let us set up a pancake art table right in the entrance. So I got to meet so many cool people. And basically it was like, you officially are a part of the con, do whatever you'd like. You know, we had badges from it. And so we just kind of made that our vacation. We pancake for a couple of hours and then enjoy the hell out of a con. And so we got to play, I think one was like Seven Seas. Mm-hmm. Got to play superhero one. I just can't remember which one it was, but it wasn't Masks, which I do want to play a lot. But you know, just dipping into all these different games, like I don't care what the game is. If you can describe to me as we go how to play it, I'll make a cool character for it and let's have some fun. And then now, just because of everything that's going on and having a toddler, so I've got my day job and I'm home. And when I'm home, if I'm like, hey, I got to be away from the, you know, helping for 3 hours or whatever, it's a really hard thing to juggle. But a really good friend of mine's Polyroller on Twitter, he old school TTRPG player, real loves sci-fi. Mm-hmm. And he called out on Twitter, is like, hey, I'm starting up a group for Alien RPG. Only caveat to if you want to play, and he's like, is at Goldberg 337 is captain, which isn't the case in the game, but basically he made a game for me, and we've been running it on Wednesdays, 2 hours, you know, hard out at 7, and we play every week that we can. He's an animator, so sometimes he's like, okay, guys, here's the thing. I've got meetings back to back on Wednesday. And it's like, okay, well, you know, there's literally xenomorph acid blood poured on the face of our NPC. Let's find out he died, by the way. Apparently, if you shoot an alien and in character don't know that their blood is acid, right over top one of your NPCs.
Ooh. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Volker. We'll miss you forever. So yeah, it's the most fun.
It sounds like you're having a great time just enjoying what is, tabletop role-playing games for all they're worth. If you were a real person in a Dungeons and Dragons world, what would your alignment, background, and class be?
God, that I would have said chaotic good before, but ever since when I try to create characters, ever since I had Miles, it's always like I want to be soft, gentle, warm, and kind. Like I don't want tragic in my backstory. Like if he needs to swing a sword, they sure can, but I don't want the sadness. So it would probably be lawful to neutral, somewhere in that spectrum. Good. And I'd be Warlock, Pact of the Griddle.
Pact of the Griddle.
And here's the thing, with the amount of times that you burn yourself, you would think your patron would give you fire resistance, and they don't.
No.
I have just so many burns on my floating arm.
What would your background be if you're a warlock patron of the griddle, Pact of the Griddle, and your alignment, was already discussed? What would your background be? Would it be chef? Would it be
chef, entertainer? Probably at this point. Chef retainer. Okay. Toss a coin to your griddle. Oh Valley o' Plenty. So where next? I mean, like you're enjoying TTRPGs, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you're on Untitled Champions, making griddles. Most people know your right arm pretty well. They know my tattoo better than
they know your tattoo, but you're enjoying this. What do you want to do next?
Find that perfect balance. It doesn't exist. I mean, my kid is so young that and we live in a small apartment, so it's like it's a big ask anytime I want to play games. So it's sort of like having to find a way to justify my time and things like that is a challenge. As he gets older, it will hopefully be a little easier.
It will.
But I just play more games and hopefully stream some games, play as guests, do some charity things, kind of just be known for more than just my pancake art. Like if my name comes up, have it not be who? Oh, the guy that makes pancakes. Yeah. Not that I need like all the credibility and things like that, but I really enjoy so much within our community, and I want to roll dice with so many of you.
Well, I can tell you that we're certainly going to be talking to you about some upcoming projects, short-term stuff, and some long-term stuff. We think you're amazing, and
more, but stop.
We think that your best friend Sean is also amazing, and we love him in chat, and also so many other great people like Robo Goblin 01, who is also a good friend of yours too. Have been wonderful in chat, by the way. What's the challenge for you when you're playing TTRPGs at this point? Like, what's been your favorite moment and your favorite challenge?
I mean, the challenge is getting to a table. It's everybody's challenge as well, though it's somehow easier now than ever to just play with people, because you're not, online play with people is just so much more of a like, hey, it's what we do. But my favorite thing is just creating the character on a whim that once you use them, becomes your whole world in that moment. I have an int-based fighters, you know, and and it's all because of an argument that Forever Best Friend Sean and I had, where I said, like, here's a thing that I think is silly. Combat, you can have strength or dexterity as your damage modifier and your to hit modifier. But I mean, shoot, Sherlock Holmes, if it taught you anything, I think intelligence, if you make an intelligent fighter build, should be able to have the same thing. Because hitting you faster isn't the only way. If I hit you correctly, you know, if I'm punching at you, but I know that I can hit like you're like right in your arm, like in your I'm not my intellect fighter, so I don't know the best spot to do it. But I can do more damage at pressure points if I'm being smart about how I'm hitting you. And so this big argument we had, and then that's how I made Watt 221B, which is my Warforged Sherlock Holmesian fighter. And one of the other streamers from CNE's cadre at this point of streams that we've got, Mars, Storyteller Mars on Twitter and other venues, he ran a game for a couple of us, and we had so much fun. And one of our players, Trevor, is like, should we stream it? And so we just streamed it, and we had more people watch it than we ever anticipated and really loved it. And then on a big like CNE day of streaming, they reached out to us and like, hey, do you guys want to stream another one shot of your group to finish off our day of streaming? And so we got Watt 221B got to be the smart fighter one more time. And hopefully we will get to bring, I don't know, we don't have a team name yet. We're working on it, but hopefully we'll get to bring them back. And Watt 221B, even though when he gets the final kill, you know, like the how do you want to end this fight? It's always funny because like everyone's like, here's my epic, like I'm gonna cut him across his chest and open it up and then rip his heart out. My guy's like, efficiently, just one quick fatal hit, because he's not there for glory. He's here to like, you're in my way, you're a puzzle, this is the solution, now you're gone.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Do you role play out your moves as you roll your dice? Do you say kind of like I do this? This? Yeah,
I do. It's fun. It's fun. In my home game that I played, others got more into doing that. But you know, when you've got a martial artist, it's not like I punch, I'm like, all right, so I wheel around with a kick. You know, like it misses. Okay, then I keep the spin going and come up with an up. I love doing it, especially if I'm a mage or like I had a druid that I made based on like, I want to make a druid who doesn't want to be a druid, who doesn't really care about animals or nature, but they were bestowed the powers. And so David, the gnome, was created, and it was the new wildfire circle. So you're, instead of beast shaping, you can have like I don't know, an entity that you create, like a small creature. And so, and it can look like anything. So I made a gnome so that mine can look like me if I stood up a little straighter, had a little more confidence. And so it was that he was this prophesied druid hero. And so one day he went from, I'm a gnome that just tries to survive in this forest, to I'm a level 6 druid, but you can cast through this entity at that level. So I got to, like, when I was doing my spells and things, I would either mistakenly cast the spell, like not do it on purpose, but like, you know, like crouch down and then go like that, and a fire orb comes out. Or I don't know what to do, so this entity is trying to get me to become the best me I can be. They throw the spell out. Or I had one time where I was like, okay, I got this. This is going to be great. And then I did like a level 3 or 4 Scorching Ray. And I was like, Scorching Ray! But only one beam came out. So well, but then my spirit totem or whatever, he went and threw the other 3 out.
So the spirit totem does the heavy lifting. That's the secret.
In the beginning, and that's the thing is I'd love to be able to develop that character to become who they're meant to be or reject it. Who knows how the story goes, but yeah, like they have all this power that they just got and don't really want. And so I love a good disadvantage. I love a good bad stat. The only time I've ever fudged a roll in game was because I made the save to not get like a madness that a character, by being close to them, you had some sort of like, I think I would vapor lock and stuff. And I wanted that. I wanted to have an obstacle to play around with. So I was like, I think I just didn't add the aura from the paladin that we had. I just didn't add that on purpose because it would have made me succeed.
Okay. That's actually pretty cool that you accepted that role play opportunity as a great opportunity as well. So we're just, shifting gears as we kind of wind down here a little bit. Where can people find you on social media? I know we have your at Goldberg 337, which is Lee in numeric terms backwards, which I think is entertaining.
Hey, yeah, it's 337's always been. My brother was an amazing artist, and he, we always joked around about Agent 337. We made like a birthday video for my dad for the gift we got him because we thought he'd love a jump drive for a present, and I knew he wouldn't, so I made a video to go along with it. Yeah, so Goldberg 337 across everything except for Twitch, because who knows why I didn't do it. And I don't know how to change it. So I'm Pancake 337 on Twitch. I was in your chat a little earlier. And it's just really funny to be like in a chat and be like, hey, oh, it's Lee. Oh, like, I mean, I'm sure Goldberg 337 is not on the tip of your tongue, but Pancakes is in my name. I'm the Pancakes guy. But I want to change it. So it's just Goldberg 337, Twitch, Instagram.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And more importantly, so people can find you. And your show, Griddle Champions, is on what day and at what time on what show?
It is Griddle Champions is Fridays from 10 to 12 Pacific time, and that is on twitch.tv/Siani Games. And we are Pancake Art. A lot of the shows that are on the network are very the game driven, like the game's on in the background, and all of our content is in-game content, but we're early morning, we're your brunch time fun times, and we goof around, and I paint with goop. So if you're gonna have to take it seriously and like, you don't have to. So we joke around, we talk about anime and all kinds of other games and things like that. We just have fun and make really fun pancakes.
All right.
Join us.
Right. So check him out at Griddle Champions. Guys, thank you so much in chat. And Lee, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's just been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see you again. And hopefully you'll come back on the show some other time soon, and we'll talk some other things that you're doing. I get excited. So thank you very much. And is there anything you want to say on the way out?
Something crude to Sean. I don't know. No, I don't have anything. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. I love talking about pancakes, TTRPGs, and I'm an open book, so I'm never like, ooh.
We're going to invite Sean onto the show, but we're only going to show his right arm the whole time we're interviewing him, so he can really enjoy what that is, just like you have.
Know what it's like, Sean. Who actually tried to make us for Valentine's Day. He and his partner made pancake art for the first time.
Oh, really?
And she was much better than him.
Oh, really?
But he had fun, and that's the thing, is it's so much fun being had because it's you're eating what you make.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week on the Games Tavern Happy Hour. every Tuesday, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the news, reviews, and interviews with those in the tabletop space. See you next week.
Bye.